Hello guys, and today we're going to do something a bit different. You might be wondering why I am in Splatoon 2, and that is because I would like to make a joke here of talking about what I think would happen if the Splatoon 2 maps came to Splatoon 3 and how they would be oversimplified to death. Just like how we see all of the stages that have come back have been oversimplified and ruined. So we are going to go into a private battle, recon the stages, and talk about how I think that the stages would be ruined and all the flanks removed and such. And I will even make a map of my own to describe what these changes would be in handy dandy Microsoft Paint. So let's go. Alright, so here we are on the reef. So how would this stage be ruined, you might ask? Well, first I would suggest that they would probably remove this area here so that you cannot flank into the enemy over here. I would also think that they would probably also remove the flank on the opponent's side too. I would also think that they would remove this car up here, just like how they removed the bike in that one like fitness track stage. I can't think of the name, but they would definitely remove this car because they would not be able to have that because, you know, that's just Nintendo. I also think they would remove this bottom area here because they would not want to have that because, you know, obvious reasons. They like to simplify the stages to death. So basically they would remove this flank route down here, this over here. It just would be a total mess, and they'd also probably like make it so like you can only go and fight the enemy on the bridge somehow, or something really bad like that. Or they just like make it so like the bridge is wider and you get constantly camped on the bridge, and it would just be really bad and not fun, just like how 90% of the maps they make return are. So yeah, that's what I would think would happen for the reef. So let's head over to the map so I can scribble out the areas of what I think it would probably look like. Alright, here we are on the Muscle Forge Fitness. You might be thinking, this stage is totally not ruinable, right? Well, you would be shocked that this stage is definitely ruinable on so many levels. First, they'd probably make this the easiest place in the game. They'd probably give it just a little bit of elevation just so you can snipe people over this stupid little thing right here. They'd probably remove that so that you can just snipe directly anyone. There's no hiding or flanking over here because the E-Leader has the almighty eyes. They'd also remove this wall here so you could snipe, and I think there's a wall on the other side that they would they definitely remove this so that the E-Leader could also snipe you. And just for good measure, they'd probably chop this just enough so that you're protected as the E-Leader, but the E-Leader has sight on you and you cannot kill the E-Leader. They'd also probably just make it so that just the E-Leader had full out advantage. They'd also remove down here because that would just not be okay on Splatoon 3 standards because you need to be crowded into the main area here. They'd have to do whatever they could to keep you in this area right here. You would not be allowed to be down there, or this area would probably be shrunk so that you could barely like be around there. They're just like the sponge would probably take up like 50% of the area. Then you go over here. This would be walled off so you can't get off of here, so there's no flanking. You need to go only across this bridge. That's how they would probably do it, make it so you can only go over this bridge to get to the enemy. That's kind of all I'm thinking of how they would probably ruin this stage. They would also probably remove that flanking route over there where I just threw the bomb, because that would just be completely illegal and just not okay by Splatoon 3 standards. So let's head to the next map to show it the Splatoon 3 mode. Oh, he survived. Alright, so here we are on the Starfish main stage. So, this is my second take, because the first take got messed up. So, basically what I said in that one is that they would probably wall off this area here. This would all just be walled off, just so you're channeled into this area here to escape, and that's your only escape method. They'd probably make that area up there where all the E-leaders can camp from, and remove all of the walls that are obstructing your view of sniping any person that dares enter the mid where the ravenous E-leader likes to stalk its prey at. And that's kind of all I can think of for this stage. That would be correct timing for one, but yeah, that's all I can really think of, so... So here we are on the Moray Towers. Now you would think this is the greatest stage in Splatoon 2. How would they ruin this? Well, you would be quite wrong that they would definitely ruin this. So I think that they would probably just make it so that like there's the perfect camping area. They'd probably get rid of that wall down here so that you can see with snipers over there. They would just get rid of any wall in general that blocks or like obstructs the view of a sniper, so that you can instantly get sniped. They'd also probably remove these ink rails because they also like to get rid of ink rails. And I don't really see them using ink rails that much in some of the pre-Drizzle Season 2 stages. So there's not many of these being used in current stages, at least in my opinion, or used to the fullest. There's sometimes like one, maybe, if you're lucky on a stage. But it's definitely just not good that they don't use these because they're pretty cool and they could be probably used a lot more, but they don't. They'd also probably just like make it so that like they're solid walls so you can't just jump off. Like up there would just be you just can't jump off. They'd also probably get rid of this so you can't climb up here, and you have to make a long boring trek all the way down to the bottom of Moray Towers just to get killed by a camping E-leader or a splash with Ninja Squid or something like that, because that's just how the game is at this point. And it's funny that I'm making this video because I like to criticize the stages at all times, and it's just funny how bad they make the stages sometimes. But that's kind of it for how I think they'd ruin the Moray Towers. I guess probably my idea on the map would probably show a little better than my words show for this one. Alright, here we are on the Port Mackerel. So, how would they ruin this stage, you might ask? So the first critique I'd have is probably they put walls there, probably move this crate up and just wall off that section. They'd also wall off here and here just to make this a pointless turfing area. Like, there's a lot of pointless turfing areas on Splatoon 3 stages, and they'd also remove the flanking route that it gives for the pointless turfing area. They'd also wall off areas up there too, like here, 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 just so you're stuck up there and you can only paint and nothing else. They'd also probably like make these car things just stationary and not move, because they love to simplify things like that. So it'd probably just be like stuck somewhere on the map and not moving. They would also just make an absurdly long stack of crates just straight up into the sky, so just the E-leader can just stand there and snipe you from any position possible. Like, I'm talking like really high up, like maybe like 3 or 4 crates, and you just paint up the wall, and it's a very easy place to just place an ink mine right here, and you're just like, oh, nobody can get to me because I'm the E-leader with infinite range. So, you know, they're just so you can't do anything on the stage. That's what I think would happen on the port and mackerel. Alright, so here we are on the Snapper Canal. And you might be wondering, how would they ruin this stage? Well, first off, they would probably remove this wall so the E-liter has full camping area so you can see across the entire map. They would also just get rid of this in general, like just continue this wall out just so there's no flank over here. It'd just be a full wall. This wall would just extend out like that and just be there, and you couldn't flank through there. They'd also probably put walls here so you can't go down here and you're forced out of this small little area here. They'd also probably extend this non-paintable thing all the way out to here just so you have to walk and just so you're more vulnerable to being sniped by the leader. They would probably also just get rid of this area here too, just wall that off, or just completely flat out remove it just so that there's no flanking probabilities anywhere, because that is very anti-Splatoon 3 to have a flanking area. They'd also just remove any wall that would penalize an E-liter and make it not able to see, or they just put they just continue this pole and it would just be called Snapper Pole instead of Wahoo Pole. They'd also probably put the glitch where you can get on top of the bridge as an intended feature, and it would also buff your E-liter's range so you can just see across the entire map and snipe anyone. And that's kind of all I can think about of how they'd probably ruin Snapper Canal. So let's go to the next stage. Alright, so here we are in the Black Belly Skate Park. What I think they would probably do first is, obviously, I think you're getting accustomed to this, remove all flanking routes, so they just kind of go like this and just draw a wall there. Just imagine there's a wall there. Like, imagine I have this, like, just a magic pencil that just can draw walls. So this would just be all walled off, so you're forced out into here, and they'd probably just flatten this entire thing just to make it boring, and you'd question why it's even called a skate park. And then this area would just become the E-liter God Zone, and it would be the best E-liter area of all time. So they would just remove this wall here so you can snipe over there. They'd also remove that wall so there's no flanking for you. They'd also remove that balloon thing over there, this wall too. They'd just remove every wall just so you have the best advantage with your E-liter up here. And they'd probably just grow this up like a little bit more just so you can just get the perfect line of sight with your E-liter. We could also just go over here just to imagine what it would look like on the enemy side here. Just imagine just walls along here, just walling you off so you can only attack your enemies from here. Also, they'd probably just remove this grate thing just so you can't be there because they wouldn't want fun like that. They'd also probably just, you know, remove anything fun on the stage, like the different levels of terrain. There'd only be two levels of terrain where you can snipe and where you get sniped, and that would be it. And they'd also, I don't know how they'd incorporate the new spawning system in some of these stages, but that's kind of all I can think about. Oh, they'd also probably remove those cool little balloon dudes because they're funny and they don't like fun. Alright, so here is Walleye Warehouse. You might think, how are they going to ruin this stage? Well, first I would think they would just make walls all along here. Get rid of this grate. Put a wall here. Put a wall here too. And just create this into one big pointless turfing void. And for no purpose other than just to get paint score. They'd also just either completely remove this area or just wall it off so that, because, you know, there can't be a flank around. That's just not okay. They'd probably remove these walls here just so your E-leader can be up here and have perfect sniping area and see across the entire map. They'd remove those little coolers down there. They'd probably just remove this big wall here, just so anything that impairs the vision of an E-leader would just be gone, because they can't have that. What else would they do? I kind of thinking that's it. I don't really know what else they would do to ruin this stage, because I can't really think of anything. This stage is kind of very Splatoon 3-ified, if you ask me. It's just a Tetris block with some things on the side that they'd probably just remove because they don't like that. And that's all I can think of for the Walleye Warehouse. Alright, here we are in the Schellendorf Institute. Now I have a wealth of ideas for what they would probably remove here. So first, they just get rid of this entire roof area because that's just not very Splatoon 3 friendly, because this is a cool area to be in and they can't stand cool areas nor higher elevations of play. So what instead they would do is extend this block really high in the air, remove all of the exhibits, and just make this an E-liter camping tower. They'd also just make it so there's barely any walls or garbage cover, or they'd probably just like shrink all of this stuff down so that the E-liter just can see everything perfectly. They'd probably just remove the random sponges that are here just because to make it the stage even more boring. They'd also just remove this flank route because who needs it? If it's Splatoon 3, you don't need flank routes, so we can't have that stuff. We also can't have, oh yeah, I already mentioned sponges, we can't have those. They'd probably just wall off this area in general, because that just can't exist. That's kind of all I'm thinking for this stage, to be honest. But I kind of did that really fast. Oh no, my Pro Controller died. Well, I guess I have to end this one anyway, so let's go to the next one. Alright, so here we are on Arowana Mall. So how would they ruin this stage? Well, I think that's quite simple. They would just, again, it's getting kind of repetitive here, but they just remove the flank routes yet again. Just get rid of all of this area, get rid of the grates, get solid floor, get rid of this just entirely. Then I think they would just, instead of having this Pearlham Marine advertisement here, they would just have a big E-liter sniping tower here. Remove any walls hindering the E-liter's vision. It's getting very repetitive here, but just sniper advantage needs to be prevalent here. They'd probably get rid of this thing here and just wall it off. Just tell it to be gone, because you can't have that around. And that's kind of all I can think of for Arowana Mall. They'd probably just level this thing here, just completely get rid of it, because we don't need it. That's kind of all I'm thinking for this stage, how they'd ruin it. If you guys have any other ideas on how they'd ruin the stage, put it down in the comments. They'd probably get rid of this area too and just wall that off. That's really all I can think of. Let's get to the next one. Alright, so here we are on the Gobi Arena. So let's think about how they would ruin this stage. First, they'd get rid of this, because they can't have that. They'd also just remove this flank or that one over there, because it's too complicated, because Nintendo thinks the average Splatoon player will not know how to slip through a grate. They'd also probably remove the basketball hoops because they're fun and funny at the same time. Because you can just kind of go through the hoop and like slam dunk yourself. But they wouldn't want you having that type of fun, so they'd get rid of those. They'd also probably turn these into the ultimate E-liter camping point by getting rid of the scoreboard up here, just so you have perfect vision. And since the basketball hoops would be gone, you'd essentially have unlimited range on this map. Anyone that tried to even dare go on your base instantly sniped. If you put some wall there, or put some wall here, depending on which one they want to get rid of. I'm probably leaning towards they get rid of this one here. They'd probably just like make like little walls, maybe just so the E-liter can see, but you can't really jump off of the stage or something. I really don't know. But they would try to thin it down so you cannot escape by another way other than charging mid. They'd probably put walls up here and up here, so you can only charge mid, as I stated. I think this would probably stay you can jump off of, because then you're charging mid, and that's what they want. Charging middle is their favorite thing to have you do in Splatoon. This would just probably be a paint farm area like a lot of maps have for no reason. That they just serve no purpose, they go nowhere, and they're just for paint, and I don't like that at all. I think that's pointless. And that's all I can really think of for this stage. Alright, so here we are on the Piranha Pit. So the first thing I think they do is definitely remove these treadmills, because they're a fun feature to the map and that could not exist. I'd also just think that this area just be flat out gone. Like just completely remove zip, non-existent anymore. They would probably put like a little area up on top of each of these so you could stand with an E-liter here, even though you already can, but they just make it like a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more of a ledge, so you can just stand there and get in those snipes. They'd also probably just get rid of the flanking route over here, put a wall, and if you jumped off of there, you just die because there's nowhere to go, because that area would be removed. That's kind of all I'm thinking for this stage. It was kind of quick and easy and simple what I could think of that would be removed. But that's all I can think of, so let's go to the next stage. Alright, so here we are on the Camp Triggerfish. So what I think they would do here is they would probably get rid of these ink rails here so you can't get across to the other side of the stage. They'd also remove the other ink rail that allows you to gain access to your flanking route, which is going over here and going across here. And this is essentially your flanking route, but they would definitely get rid of that. They would also probably just make this a nice wall for E-liter camping. Just like the bamboozler, the E-liter would be camping you across this area here. They'd also remove that wall just so it's a tiny bit easier for you to get camped. They'd also probably get rid of this. Oh wait, no, they wouldn't get rid of the sponge because it's the. Wait, no, they would get rid of the sponge just so you have to make a tedious little climb all the way up the tiki poles until you can get up to the top here, and then you have to tediously walk across here to get ready for your sniping over here. They'd also probably remove the fun spot over here. They'd also probably remove this tire over here, which is where a lot of people like to hide for hide and seek. And especially me, I really like that spot. And it would be a shame, but that probably would not exist anymore if they ported the map. And that's really all I can think of, so let's go to the next map. Alright, so here is the new Albacore Hotel. So you might be thinking how they remove this. Well, first they put walls here just so you can't escape there and it becomes a painting void. I'm just going to coin that term at this point, and it's kind of getting old, but you would know exactly what's going to happen here. This is just going to become an E-liter camping point, and the only way to get across is going to be on that bridge or the opposing bridge on the enemy side. The only way you're getting across here is if you're going across that bridge that you cannot go into squid form on, because you will die in the water. So that's what you're going to be stuck with in this game. They'll probably get rid of these walls just so it's even harder to get out of the range of an E-liter, and just make it more difficult on the player in general. They'll just wall off this area or just completely remove it so you can't escape other than going on the bridge. They'll just raise all the walls so you can't get across, and they'll make sure that you're gonna die when you jump across here. Also, so you can't hop like that, they're just gonna shrink off the part that just dumps off right there. And that's kind of all I can think of for this stage, so let's jump scare Bren296 here. Oh, he's getting the idea, even though we're not even on a call, so he must just be reading my mind here. Let's get him. Oh, we got him with a spot bomb. Next stage. Alright, so here we are on the Anchovy v Games stage. So how they would ruin this is first they just get rid of that entire area with like the fans. That would just be gone, so that that gets rid of that flank there. They'd also get rid of this thing here so you can't flank this way, and they'd also build up a wall here so that you can't flank in this area either. What they'd also probably do is they'd keep this, I think, because that's kind of like a core component of the stage, and if they removed it, that'd be very aggravating. They'd probably just make this the almighty E-liter camp point, and make sure that these walls aren't too high so that you can't get a snipe on someone standing like here, because they need to be able to get a snipe from anywhere on the map. They'd probably just remove this billboard up here just so you can not have to worry about that when you're sniping across the map, because, you know, they just don't want you not being able to snipe, and they also probably don't want to incorporate the community posts because that's how they are. And that's kind of all I can think of for how this stage would be Splatoon 3-ified. Ooh, got him. Next stage. Actually, I think it's the last stage next. Alright, here we are on the Skipper Pavilion. This is probably one of my favorite stages in the whole game, and I would actually hate to see this not come back in its normal form, so maybe I won't be as harsh on it. Nah, we're gonna be just as harsh as we were with the other stages. So first, I just think they just completely remove this inner area here. Like, just wall it all off and just make it really pointless and stupid, and make it even more pointless than it already is to be in here. They'd also just probably remove the flank over here so that you just can't do anything with that. They just basically do whatever they can to funnel you down into here, only here, and just keep you in this area fighting, or in this like hall here battling it out. And I don't know how they would make an E-liter advantage point, so I'm gonna say they would just remove these two statues and just build a massive tower here and just be like, here's where you can camp with your E-liter, because every stage needs a good E-liter camping point to be just like the stages in Splatoon 3. What else could they do to this stage? I really don't know, so I'm just gonna say that that's it for this goofy video. If you want to see more of this in the future, I will break out the Wii U, and any stage that hasn't been ported yet, I'll do this same style thing with that, because it would be funny to do that, and cool, and hopefully this video gets perceived well, because this is just a joke, and I'm not actually that mad about the Splatoon maps, though I was like, in the beginning of the game. They did make up with it with the new maps though, but I am very glad that they are starting to put some quality effort into their maps and they're not just Tetris blocks. And I really hope they start doing some unique stuff like this stage with like it's kind of like Salt Spray Rig, where it's like really cool and fun to play on, and there's so many different ways to approach your enemy and stuff. They really just need to work on that. There's so many different ways to approach your enemy. Like you can approach your enemy from here, you can approach your enemy from back here into there, and you can even approach your enemy down there. It's just such good stuff that they did in these games, and OG stages just are so much better than the newer stages, and I'm so glad that I was able to play 2 to enjoy these stages in their prime. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.